The Midwest supporting, bruiser loving, positivity spreading, world's most dangerous podcast. Join former pro wrestler and promoter Dave Dynasty as he supports and promotes Midwest pro wrestling. Keep on growing with the Midwest Express. This is the Dave Dynasty Show.
Greetings and welcome to the Dave Dynasty Show. I am your host, Dave Dynasty. Thank you for joining us. And whichever way you do, please make sure you follow us there. We are on all of the podcast platforms. Wow. Not even 20 seconds in and I'm already tripping over words. Oh man. I think that's a sign of my crazy schedule. I've been working these insane hours on my full-time job. I just went into a new position, at my full-time job. And, there's been this crazy schedule here the last few weeks. I think it's going to calm down here, in the near future, but it's just got me all out of whack with the new job, these hours lately and everything else. It has thrown me for a loop. I am definitely a creature of routine. So I'm trying to adapt to the new routines. But while I do that, I'm kind of a surly dude. And it messes with things. And it's caused some delays here in the Dave Dynasty Show, but we're hoping to remedy that. We have the episode today, that's coming out, and then we will be releasing one tomorrow, Monday. We're talking back-to-back episodes to get us back on track. Because we got so much great stuff. We've got some great interviews, great whatever happened to's, great things scheduled. That we've got, we got to get them out there, man. We got to get these stuff to you because you're going to want to hear it. You're going to love it. It's great stuff. And we're very excited to get it to you. I apologize. It's just me readapting. And, that's just what it is. No excuses. Just me. But here we are getting this one out to you, right? We're rolling today and thank you for being here. But as I was trying to say before I got kind of sidetracked there, whichever means you listen to the show, we're on all the podcast platforms. But whichever way you do, please make sure you follow us and subscribe to us there. And if you can, even if you're not an iTunes user, I think you could do this. Go look us up on iTunes. You can just look us up online. You can go to our website, davedynasty.com. Under podcast episodes, you can click on the iTunes links. It'll bring it to you. Leave us a 5-star review, and a rating, a 5-star rating and a review. There you go. Because that helps us, amongst the iTunes gurus or whatever, the algorithm or whatever they use, to give us some more exposure. So the more reviews, the more high ratings we get, the better it is, the more people will see us. We'd like to start climbing into the charts and making some noise. And all of that is not because of us. It's not an ego thing. It's not a attention thing. That's not at all why we do this. It's not at all why we push and we plug and we beg and we plead and we look for anything we can to get this out there. It's all about our mission to help bring some attention and eyes, promotion, whatever it might be, to Midwest professional wrestling, past and present, because we feel that both the history of Midwest professional wrestling and the current state of Midwest professional wrestling is often overlooked when you have discussions. When people talk about things and talk about wrestling, like I said, both past and present, it's often overlooked, right? People often don't talk about the Midwest like they should. And we're looking to change that, That's our goal. We want to get some eyes, some ears, some attention on Midwest. That's why we do it, right? That's the whole purpose of this show, to get guys on that need some attention, that deserve some recognition, to tell some stories and memories and things historically, from the Midwest that deserve the legacy, deserve the attention. And that's what we do. And one of those guys, it brings us to our classic audio this week. One of those guys that deserves more attention than he gets is Golden Boy Paul Christy. Paul's a great talent. Wrestled all over the Midwest, wrestled for the Pafos, ICW, WWA, and Bruiser. all over the place. A great guy, great talent. But one thing that a lot of people don't know is he did get a cup of coffee in the what was then the WWF, but now the WWE, obviously. And, you know, he was mostly kind of enhancement, lower card, but he did one time make an appearance. To my knowledge, it's his only interview he did for WWF, televised interview type thing. He did an appearance on the TNT show with Gene Okerlund, and it was kind of playing off. They were trying to do a magician's, kind of gimmick thing with him. And that's what our audio is this week. It's, Paul Christy, with that lone WWF interview he did, on TNT with Gene Okerlund. So check it out.
I'd like to have you welcome our next guest. He hails from the outskirts of the Windy City, Chicago, Illinois. He is perhaps the latest arrival in the World Wrestling Federation. Please welcome with us, Paul Christy. It's a hot opener.
Well,
Paul, go right ahead and sit down.
No, I ain't gonna sit down. Let me explain one thing to you here. First of all, who is Paul Christy? All right, Paul Christy, a wrestler, magician, hypnotist. All right, that would just get your attention. Gene.
That certainly got my attention.
Well, I hope
it usually does.
Okay, well, you know what? The thing is that, again, that's also get your attention. Let me explain something to you. First of all, the three greatest drives in the world are sex, power, and money. All right? Do you agree? Do you agree?
Not necessarily in that order, but...
First of all, hold on. Motor mouth, please. Listen to me now. Sexually, I'll give you a boo. I'll come out and break your neck, you jerk, you turkey. Sexually, pretty blue eyes. Physically, charming personality. I've got the best. But let's break it right down, all right?
What's in the box?
No, hold it. Let me explain that to you. Okay, hold it. I'll give you what's in a box. Sexually, I have a woman that I want. Pretty blue eyes, physical appearance, charming personality. Right? You got it? Woman, sexual, all right? Financially, how many apartment buildings can you own? How many vacations can you go on? All right? How many apartment buildings? How many shopping centers can you own? I've got it all. I've got 2 out of the 3. The only thing I don't have is this. Well, hold it. The only thing I don't have is power. And that's why I decided to call on this program. Power. I want power. Power. I'm going to show you how I'm going to program people's mind. Being a hypnotist, don't be giving us signals over here. I'm taking control. I've got the money. I'm going to buy this whole entire program.
Paul, excuse me. I don't want to be rude, but if you'd be kind enough to sit down.
I don't want to sit down.
I've made some special arrangements to have a legitimate magician.
What do you mean legitimate?
Show up.
You're telling me I'm not legitimate? Hey, shake my hand. All right. I'm going to get his attention, right?
You got my attention.
I got your attention. All right. Let me do this.
Wait a minute.
What do you mean, wait a minute? I'll tell you right now, I'm going to do this with the audience. I'm going to program their minds, being a hypnotist, and I'm going to tell them how to think. I'm going to take control of the complete entire audience and tell them how to think.
Well, while you're doing that, I'd like to introduce to our audience, to those of you at home here on TNT, magician Denny Lee.
You want to know about this? I love him. He's good. Who do you think taught him all this? Now, let's do this. Audience. It's great. Audience. It's great. Being a hypnotist, I've gone one step beyond. All right? What I have in this box, I'm going to program the audience to think of something, and whatever you think of is in this box. I'm going to program you and make you think of something, and whatever you think of is in this box. All right? Got the message? Okay. Hold it. Don't wind up. I'm here forever. All right?
Lord Alfred.
Wait,
Speculate. What's in the box?
wait, hold it. Don't talk, Lord Alfred. I'm here. Take control. Don't do that to me. You know what? I've got the money. How many vacations can you have? How many Mercedes can you have? How many candles can you drive? Get that lousy music off here. Will you shut up? And these goofy things here? Where's my little thing here? I'm taking a... Hey, will you shut up?
I meant to ask you about your
He's
thing.
good. Wait, you'd ask me. I programmed you right off the bat. Audience, would you let me talk, Motormouth?
Wait a minute.
Would you let me talk? Wait. You came up here to interview me, right? Made people interested. I'm very charming. I think people can tell. I'm very charming type of person. Let's do this now. Audience, I'm going to program your mind. I'm a hypnotist. Will you cut that noise out? I'll wipe this all out. What I'm going to do, audience, I'm going to make you think of something. Reach my pocket. If there's anybody afraid of the unknown, leave the room. What I'm going to do right now, I'm going to program your minds. I'm going to make you think of something. I'm going to make you think of something, and Wrestler Supreme, I decided, check your calendars, your dates, whatever it may be. I am never going to lose a match. Never. Did you ever see hypnotists? Did you ever see a man go mad? Actually go mad? I mean, don't give me these little signals. I'm going to buy this whole entire studio. Hey, I'm not too ignorant.
Paul Christy.
Motormouth.
Paul Christy, in all due respect.
I'm going to show you about it.
Not a bad idea, perhaps,
all
if
due
you
respect.
stick to wrestling.
I'm going to open it. You know what?
Danny
I'm
Lee,
going
we've
to punish you. I'm never going to come back again.
The match
Wait, stop.
As TNT continues, don't go away. All right, while we were away, by the way, the studio audience picked a card. And what was it, audience? Okay, Mr. Christie promised it would be the only card that
Six
would
of
be...
spades, you're going to come upside down. Now watch it very close, all right? Six of spades. Watch this very close. Lord of the Hells, I want you to grab this card out of here. Any card's upside down. There's one card. Pick that card. Show them. Six of spades. Six of spades. It is. All right. Now, hold on. Mind control. Lord of the Hells. Think of a card. Hold on. Stop, ignorance. Think of a card. 1 to 1,000. Think of a number. 1 to 1,000.
Mr. Christie,
think of a number. Real good.
You've
Think of
got
a number.
a
1 to 1,000.
telephone call.
555. Watch this real close. 555. Real quick. Here we go. I programmed his mind. 555. The audience. I did with the audience. Lord Apple Hayes. Also 555.
Very good. Thank you.
I programmed him.
Thank you, Paul Christie. Thank you very much. Godfrey Daniel, your lordship.
Gosh. Wow.
Guy'll be checking in someplace next week.
And there you have it. Very, very cool piece of Midwest wrestling history there. Paul Christy, Golden Boy Paul Christy, with his lone WWF interview with Gene Okerlund, representing the Midwest there. Very, very cool stuff. Hopefully you enjoyed it. But let's get rolling on with the rest of the show. We have a great show for you. We are going to right now, here in a second, kick it over to referee Manbun, Sean O'Brien, who is going to give us his official decision segment. Then we will take a break and go to an interview with Donnie Tsunami. Talks a little bit about his career, but really talks a lot about the fact that Infinity Pro Wrestling's back, being reborn in Lafayette, Indiana. So Donnie's going to talk a lot about that. And plus we will have a new segment here on the show. Whatever happened to, that's where we take a guy from the past that maybe you've forgotten, right? Guys that there's lots of guys you saw or people saw on shows here in the Midwest. And, where they were all over the place. And, then maybe, once they move on, maybe you forget about them, right? You don't think about them for a while. And so you forget about them. So we're going to start doing that. Whatever happened to segments, which is essentially just actually it's a second interview, right? We're essentially going to start having two guests on these shows we do this. The Whatever Happened to is a little shorter. Customarily, we've recorded several of them. Some get up, or these guys get talking and telling stories, and we let them roll. But we have our first Whatever Happened To episode today with Lightning Rod. So check that out. But right now, kick it over to referee Manbun and let's get this ball rolling.
1, 2, 3. It's my man bun.
What's up, beautiful people, and welcome to another edition of Official's Decision with referee Sean O'Brien, also known as referee Manbun. Had an action-packed weekend this weekend. I worked on 4 big shows, 3 at IWA Mid-South, and 1 I made my debut at Southern Underground Pro Wrestling in Nashville, Tennessee. So let's go ahead and roll right on into the action and get it all knocked out of the way. I'm only going to cover some of the key matches. Not going to cover every match just because there's a lot of stuff to cover. So that way we can get it all fit in. Just going to do some of the key matches. On Thursday, IWA Mid-South presented Only the Strong Style Will Survive. Your referee for the evening was me by myself, #IronManRef. Let's see, we saw indestructible Calvin Tankman get his revenge against Eddie Only and picked up a W. We also saw Big Bang Ronnie Nicole make a big debut, picking up a W over Shotzi Blackheart and Amazing Maria in triple threat action. And these 2 women, of course, are killing it in the women's division at IWA Mid-South. So with Big Bang Ronnie Nicole picking up the W, let's see where that's going to end up leading to. Maxwell Jacob Friedman defeated Myron Reed in a one-on-one contest. And we also had a triple main event action. Your first main event of the evening, Larry D and Ace Romero battled to a draw in a 2 out of 3 pinfall match. Both men ended up knocking each other out with a big lariat and couldn't answer the 10 count. Both these men ended up in a draw. So definitely check this match out. It was a hoss battle to say the least. Definitely check it out when it's available. In the second main event of the evening, Michael Elgin defeated Nick Gage via disqualification, and let me explain why. This match was a regular one-on-one contest, which means that the chain that Nick Gage used to knock out Michael Elgin was completely illegal and could not be used. Therefore, when I went to raise Nick Gage's hand because I thought it was a clean knockout, sure enough, the chain he used fell right from under his arm. Therefore, I had no other choice but to disqualify him. And it's quite unfortunate because these Warriors had quite a battle up until that point. So hopefully we get a chance to see this one-on-one matchup again in the future. And then the last main event of the night was for your IWA World Championship, as your champion Mance Warner took on the artist Jake Christ. These guys went to war. They fought all over the IWA arena. Of course, in this match, it's under IWA old school rules, which means that there are no rules, basically. It's no DQ, no count out. These guys used whatever they could to try and beat each other to pick up the title. Jake almost put Mance away at one point with a tombstone off the top rope through 2 chairs. However, in the end, Mance was able to retain his title after a big lariat. On Friday, IWA Mid-South presented Turn Back the Clock. Your referees for the evening were yours truly, as well as John Howard. We had a hot opener this evening between Rob Killjoy of the Ugly Ducklings and the Fresh Prince of Midair, Trey Miguel. This match was full of action in the air and on the ground. But in the end, Trey Miguel was able to pick up the victory. So definitely check this match out whenever it becomes available. Timmy Lou Redden of the Gymnasty Boys and Big Bang Ronnie Nicole picked up a victory in intergender tag team action against JC Rotten and Amazing Maria. Myron Reed also picked up a big W over Sage Cannon, which makes him the new Opportunity in a Box holder. That box guarantees him a title shot at any time. And in the main event of this evening, White Mike of the Gymnasty Boys had a very impressive showing against one of the best wrestlers in the country, or in the world, and Big Mike Elgin. However, Big Mike was just too much for White Mike, and Big Mike was able to hold him off. On Saturday, IWA Mid-South presented Spring Forward. Your referees for the evening were myself and John Howard. This event, just got to say, this event will forever be one for the history books in IWA Mid-South. I'm going to get to that here in just a second, but definitely if you get an opportunity, go out of your way to see this entire event, but for one specific reason, for the main event, which we'll get to in just a second. We had quite a few quick ending matches at the beginning of the night. JC Rodden and Amazing Maria both picked up W's in their respective matches. Trey Miguel was able to defeat Trey Lamar in an athletic high-flying contest. Eddie Only got another victory over Calvin Tankman, this time via disqualification, as Tankman would not obey referee John Howard, and he was forced to disqualify Tankman. And folks, in the main event of Spring Forward, we saw your champion, Mance Warner, go one-on-one with unbreakable Michael Elgin, and they battled to a 60-minute time limit draw. This match was insane. They fought back and forth. They tried everything they could to put the other away. Hard forearms, big boots, lariats. Elgin slammed him all over the ring, hit him with a couple power bombs, but neither man could put the other away to end up picking up the victory. It's definitely, like I said, one that you should go out of your way to check out. It's definitely worth it. And then on Sunday, yours truly, referee Manbun, made his debut at Southern Underground Pro Wrestling in Nashville, Tennessee. The event was called Achy Breaky Heart, and the referees were myself and Doug Markham. Finally got the opportunity to work with Doug Markham. He's a veteran referee that is quite well known in the area, and it was a pleasure to work with him. This show featured many of the Midwest's biggest independent stars, including the Carnies, Nick Iggy and Carrie Awful, Mance Warner, Alley Cat, Kevin Koo, Kurt Stallion, Dominic Guarini, and so many more. This show will actually be available on powerbomb.tv in the coming months. So when you're able to get a chance, check out that show for sure. And stay tuned to my social media for info on the next event, because hopefully, as long as everything goes well, I should be back at the next show. Next week, IWA Mid-South will have shows on both Thursday and Saturday, as always. As of this recording, there haven't been any announcements yet. However, stay tuned to my social media for announcements. You can follow me on social media on Instagram and on Twitter at official SPO502, and on Facebook at Sean Patrick O'Brien. It's SEAN. It's the Irish way. Thank you, and shout out to Dave Dynasty, as always, for giving me this platform. And I want to thank you guys for listening. Hope to see you guys at a show.
Wrestling fans, be sure to check out Ringside, the upcoming comic strip from Main Event Comics. Ringside will be a series of 3 strips telling stories from the perspectives of a trio of ringside reporters. Each arc will follow a wrestler and story, but don't be surprised if you see returns, crossovers, and surprises as the stories unfold. Main Event Comics is a branch of RCB Studios, and you can look them up and follow them on both Facebook and Instagram. Also, if you are a creative talent, contact Main Event Comics to discuss potential future commissions. Again, look up Main Event Comics on Facebook and Instagram and watch for the upcoming Ringside comic strips.
And welcome back to the Dave Dynasty Show. I am your co-host Ike Isaacs, and today I am joined with yet another talent. We have Donnie Tsunami. How are we doing today, my man?
I'm doing fantastic. It's been a wonderful day, and I'm very happy to be on your show today. Thanks for having me.
No, not a problem at all. Thanks so much for coming on here, and I'm very happy to hear that you're having a good day. Good day means a good interview, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, perfect. Well, we'll jump right into it, Donnie. First question we always ask is, where are you from?
Well, currently I reside in Indianapolis, Indiana. Previously, I had my residency in beautiful Bloomington, Indiana, where we held most of our Infinity Pro events.
Oh, fantastic. Bloomington's a wonderful place. A little rowdy, with the college kids, but it's pretty awesome down there. And I live in Muncie, so I'm a hop, skip, and a jump away from Indianapolis.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, not too far away at all.
No, not at all. Well, next thing for you, I guess. So then, did you grow up in Bloomington, or did you grow up somewhere else?
I grew up about an hour outside of Bloomington in a small little community known as Linton, Indiana. There's like 25 churches and about the same amount of bars.
I say obviously I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure I've been there. Is there like a restaurant there that people go to, or is it something that's not necessarily like well known, but kind of well known maybe? I feel like I've been there.
Yeah, as I say, they used to have this Amish restaurant called Stoll's.
Okay.
And everyone came from all over to come down and visit it. They had like a little buffet area and giant cinnamon rolls. So yeah, it's not there anymore. It's been replaced with a barbecue place, but.
I got you. Well, then that's how I know it. I'm a huge food guy. I mean, I'm a big guy. I love food, so that's probably what I know from. But so then, what was it like growing up there? Obviously, small town living. But what was it like growing up there? Did you play any sports?
Yeah, I played football down there. Wrestling fan. Of course, I always wanted to wrestle, but we didn't have a wrestling program. So for me, what I got into martial arts. And I actually kind of got conned into doing martial arts because the local martial arts school there was American Karate Do. They had a kickboxing ring. And as a youth, I'd say I was probably 15 years old at this point in time. I went in there to see if I could possibly use their ring for wrestling. And, of course, I didn't know anything about professional wrestling at the time. I thought it was completely real, as most of us do, at an early age. And use it as long as you enroll for classes. And I enrolled for classes, and I actually found out I was really good at it, and I really enjoyed it.
Wow, so then it was kind of like one of those things where it's like, yeah, I was here for the wrestling, but I was here for wrestling, but I stayed for the martial arts.
Absolutely, yeah, we did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Shotokan Karate, some Taekwondo. So, and of course, they were actually most well known for their kickboxing school. So I did some kickboxing as well. It was a lot of fun.
No, absolutely. And, and as we know, with some pretty famous wrestlers, that's MMA and stuff of that nature is a good headway into the professional wrestling business. I mean, Ken Shamrock, Steve Blackman, but who were you a fan of as a kid? Speaking of wrestling, who was it that you were a fan of during this period?
Growing up, I think the most famous answer is Hulk Hogan. Hogan spawned such a giant generation of fans in professional wrestling. But, I loved watching him. But it's funny because not a lot of people say it, but I was a huge fan of tag team wrestling. So the Rockers, Demolition, Road Warriors, Legion of Doom, whatever you want to call them, Powers of Pain. It was Strike Force and a lot of those guys. It was always a lot of fun to watch the tag wrestling because you never knew what would transpire. One-on-one, you knew one guy was going to pin the other one, but in tag wrestling, you didn't know who was going to get the pinfall. So it was always something fun to watch. And that's really what drew me into professional wrestling, and hence the reason I became a tag team specialist later on.
No, absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's something that I always really loved. I grew up, I guess, at a bad time because, I grew up during the Attitude Era. So, I mean, there were some good tag teams, but it wasn't anything like the generation before or the generation after. But you had some good ones. You had some good ones, but yeah, absolutely. And I'm the same way. Tag team wrestling all the way. There's so much more to it, so much more meat. I feel like you get twice the value with a tag team match.
You really can.
But
you absolutely can.
Absolutely. So then, obviously, as we know, we kind of see a little progression here. You love wrestling. You got into martial arts, trying to get into wrestling. But when was it that wrestling hooked you? When did you know that I want to do this 100%? There's nothing else I want to do.
while I was doing professional wrestling, the goal was, or as martial arts, the goal was always professional wrestling. I never had my eye off of that goal. I was always trying to get better, and I always was coming up with new characters and whatnot at that point. However, in 1999, the year I graduated from high school, we had what we called our iSearch report. It was our big senior project we had to do for our English class. And what we had to do was we had to pick a profession. We had to find someone in that profession and interview them. Actually, we had to do 2 people. And then we had to, as we would call it nowadays, we had to cosplay as a person from the profession and do a 5-minute interview as that person. So I myself started looking around, and I found that there was a professional wrestling school in Evansville, Indiana. That was for a place called HWF, or Hardcore Wrestling Federation. They're no longer in existence, of course, as most things happen, turnover and whatnot. However, the head trainer there was Mike Samples, who, of course, was, quite big in the South. Went to Japan, did deathmatch wrestling and whatnot. But he was the head trainer there. So I actually interviewed him, and he invited me in to do some professional wrestling training, which I started with him. He actually was able to get me an interview with Jerry the King Lawler, which was also pretty amazing at the time, because that was right there at the Attitude Era time, and so once I started training with Mike, I was hooked. I didn't want to do anything but that. In fact, my martial arts actually kind of stopped at that point. All I wanted to do was think of pro wrestling, and when the next time I get into the gym was, which at that point in time we were training every Wednesday night in the Coliseum. Okay. Now, it was a pretty historic venue. It was really cool. We'd get out of school. I would drive down about 2 hours. Actually, at that time it was 2.5 because the highways were a little bit different. And we would set up this god-awful all-wood ring. That thing was hard as could be. So I learned to take my bumps on this extremely hard wood ring, and got to meet a lot of interesting individuals. That's actually where I met Madman Pondo for the first time. And that was right around Halloween of that year. And he took his opponent through a haunted house that was about a block away from the venue in a Falls Count Anywhere match, which was pretty amazing.
Sounds right.
Yep. And they actually finished that match on a passerby's car. And that person was screaming their lungs out and everything else. It was not pre-planned whatsoever. The promoter of that event actually got sued over that car. So, yeah. Promoter woes. You got to love it. But at that point in time, I also learned the dark side of professional wrestling. As I was training with Mike, he had the opportunity to go to Japan, which none of us knew. All I was aware of was the fact that he asked for everyone to come in and pay the remainder of their dues for training, which for me was right around $1,200. I was a high school kid. I didn't have that type of money, so I skipped training that week. Figured I'll give it a week, and then I'll try to talk my way back into it to where I can continue making the $100 a week payment that I was trying to do. So the following week, I go back in, and Mark Vance, who's the promoter, was there. He's like, "What are you guys doing here?" I'm like, "We're here for training." He's like, "Oh, you didn't hear?" I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, Sample skipped town. Yeah, he went to Japan." So all the kids that did pay the money the week before that I missed out of class on got taken for all their money.
Oh, good God. Yeah, that really is the dark side of wrestling. Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. So just getting into the business, I figured out how shady it could be pretty quickly.
When you say pretty quickly,
that didn't deter me.
When you say pretty quickly, like they opened the door, showed you the shade, and you just step right in.
Yes, exactly. Shortly after this happened, I ran into a gentleman who lived in my same town named Ollie Tharp. He's a really good referee. He did a lot of work at that point in time with IWA, Mid-South, and a lot of other areas. And he ran into me and found out I was into pro wrestling. And him and another independent wrestler named Jim the Drifter Mandel were getting ready to open their own wrestling school. So he based there in Linton. And, of course, they kind of they recruited me, and I recruited a bunch of other people to join. And the Classic Championship Wrestling Academy was formed. And that's actually where I finished my training and got all my initial hands-on skills via Ollie and Jim. Ollie to this day is still has his hands really deep into pro wrestling in the area. He helps a lot with pro wrestling out in Terre Haute, and he does as much traveling as he possibly can. I have to say, without him, I would never have been a wrestler, and I honestly never would have opened Infinity Pro had it not been for him. He's still, to me, one of the best referees I've ever had in my life. So, any of you promoters out there listening, book Ollie Tharp as your head referee. You will not regret it.
Well, you heard it here first. And I've heard that name before, weirdly enough. And it may just be because, I'm sidekick to Dave Dynasty, and he knows like all kinds of junk about Indiana, so it might just be him. But I've definitely heard that name before, no doubt about it. So then let me ask you this: obviously, you go through the steps, you become a wrestler, you do the training. What was your first match like? Do you remember your first match?
Amazingly, I do. I've had some pretty severe concussions, so I don't remember all my matches, but I do remember my first one. I actually did wrestle Ollie in my very first match. And like I said, he's a great referee, but one of the reasons he's a great referee is because of the fact he's also a trained wrestler, so he knows what goes on the entire gamut of the match. I wrestled him. I was so nervous. I had those butterflies, and, nowadays, I'm a walk and talk wrestler. I love to get in there and be able to, well, not anymore because of concussions, but when I was an active wrestler, I was a walk and talk wrestler at the end. But at the very beginning of it, I wanted to choreograph everything. And I think I went through that first match probably 100 times with Ollie while we were waiting to go. And it was just so nerve-wracking in front of a sellout 100-person crowd in Scottsburg, Indiana, at a place called the Woodsman of the World Lodge. And at the time, I was doing a gimmick known as Legacy. He was basically a Great Muta-inspired character. Did the mist, the face paint, the martial arts, the whole thing like that. And I remember the finish was supposed to be a super kick. And me coming from a martial arts background, I was kind of nervous. The super kick didn't quite land like it needed to, and I didn't hit him on the chin. I hit him in the chest, but I sent him flying about 10 feet. And I went over and I pinned him. I thanked him. And when we get to the back, he had a nice little footprint on his chest from it. But I just remember from that match being extremely nervous. And as soon as I stepped through the rope, everything that we had talked about, I forgot. And luckily, he was able to talk me through everything that we were going to do. And as we went along, I remembered it and was able to catch up, But, yeah, first match jitters, man. Anyone who listens is going through training right now. Just know your first match is probably going to be one of your worst ones you ever do. Don't be nervous. Don't feel bad about it. We all improve. And if you don't improve, you should be buying tickets.
Yeah, I mean, that's a funny thing, too, is like, I think pretty much anyone I've ever talked to, they always say that. I mean, you get your first match jitters. And, I mean, let's be real here. I mean, you do the first time anything, I think you're going to have a little bit of first-time jitters. So, like you said, nothing wrong with that. It happens.
No. Yeah, so, I mean, every single time. Every single time.
Every single time.
And that's the thing, too. As a professional wrestler, I was always nervous before a match. I always had those butterflies because I knew I was performing. And yeah, there's a certain calmness to it. You can go out there and you can perform. If you're wrestling someone for the first time, you don't know how you're going to mesh, You don't really know how it's going to be until you get out there in front of the crowd. You don't know if what you're planning on doing is going to settle with the crowd as well as you had hoped for it. You don't know if your opponent necessarily knows how to adjust on the fly for things like that. A lot of guys, they will choreograph a match, and they'll hit it A to Z. Now, in one city, that match will do gangbusters. The crowd will invest themselves into it.
Yeah.
But in a different city, they may sit on their hands and not care about it because it's not the style that they're interested in. So being able to adapt is huge for professional wrestling. And that's something that I've always prided myself in being able to do. As the Tsunamis tag team, we were baby faces everywhere we went. You know, you can't help but a couple guys coming out in bright floral Hawaiian shorts, lays, coming out to a nice beat of a song, you know, they're going to get behind you. However, we ended up, of all cities, Terre Haute, Indiana. They hated us. And we were booked as babies, of course. And on the fly, we flipped the table. We went heel. Promoter at first wasn't too keen on it, but we had more of a reaction from the crowd than anyone else on that card that night. And we actually were able to increase the draw of that town. They ran pretty much weekly there on a Sunday. And the first show we were at, they had 100 people. And then the next we came back, it was 150. They maxed out right around 350, 400. And I'm not going to say it was all on us because while we were there, we helped elevate everyone. And everyone tried to step up their game. So there for a while, up until that building closed, they were doing a really good business. And their fans were great. They were loud. They were involved. And, you know, in professional wrestling, as a promoter and as a fan, you want that crowd to be there, and you want them to invest in the matches, invest in your talent, and invest in all your hard work. And they did a great job with that.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
you don't always see that. You know, you see a lot of these promoters who throw out a bunch of money and bring in names, but they don't invest in their own talent. They don't build those storylines. They don't invest in themselves. They think, oh, this guy got released from WWE, let's spike the attendance, which is great. But then you teach your crowd that the only reason to come is for those people.
Absolutely.
And that's one of those detriments of the business right now. Far from taking money out of any of those guys' pockets, they have worked their tails off to get where they're at, and they deserve every penny they make. But any promoter worth their salt will know, invest in your homegrown talent, because they're the ones who will bring your crowd back week after week. It's not those hotshot names.
Absolutely. And that's actually something I talked to Dave about the other day too, is that you see some of these like smaller promotions, they'll get like that one little boost of money, and they'll try and book somebody, you know, that has some name value, but they don't realize that that's only a partial supplement to the overall. I mean, that name value is not always going to be there for every event. So like you said, you got to invest in the people that you do have, your reoccurring stars. You have to invest in your own people. That's actually a really good tip, promoters, if you're listening.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things that made my company Infinity Pro a success when we were running in Bloomington. We brought in a couple names. We brought in Austin Aries. We brought in Jimmy Jacobs once. But almost every show was based around local talent. Not necessarily just local to the area. All of our guys were really good. They were very vetted. And we encourage all of our guys to go out and try to steal the show. And we had a consistent 300 to 400 draw for the entire time we ran. The only time that we dropped below that was during an ice storm, and we actually had a ring cancellation on us, and we had someone else who was able to come and bring one to us, which amazingly saved our butts. But, we treated our professional wrestling events as an event. It wasn't a show. It wasn't a ring in a building, and that's it. We always brought a really nice backdrop for entranceway. We lit up the ceiling. Well, we never used the house lights. If someone is in an armory watching professional wrestling, you don't want them to feel like they're sitting in an armory watching professional wrestling.
Exactly.
You want their mind to look at that ring and to forgo everything around them. And you want them to see the ring, and you want them to feel like they're in an arena. You want them to feel like they're somewhere other than where they're at. You want to to take them on a voyage, on a journey through everything you're doing that night. You want the first match to be a killer match. You want every match to have a spot on the card that fills a different requirement. You know, you have to have your comedy. You have to have your tags, which we did something very different in tag team wrestling. Your main event has to be an off-the-chain match. It has to be something that has a hook to it that brings people back for the next show. Well, every match on the card can be that match. It's just the way you've set it up. You know, we always ran with multiple storylines throughout our shows. And a lot of these other promotions, they may have one storyline. Well, that's good. That then tells all the wrestlers that their matches are throwaway matches. Yeah. And I never wanted to have a throwaway match. And if you let all of your talent know that they're important to you, that their skill, their talent, and their storyline is something that can sell tickets. If you let them understand the fact that if they miss a show, that's huge. You know? They themselves invest in your product as well. Because if you're selling DVDs, or you're setting people up for interviews, or, you know, when you look at the flyer and you see yourself on the flyer, like, not every single flyer can have every single guy on it. However, what I would do is I would make 3 or 4 different versions of a flyer for a show. So sometimes each flyer was a single match. And it would have a little caption about who was going to be there. But then a different flyer would have a different match on it. And I would scatter those all throughout the area. And because they weren't the exact same flyer, it would draw eyes to it each time. We would pre-sell out our front row every single show. We never had tickets at the counter or at the ticket booth the day of the show for front row. We never did. We had 76 front row seats. We would pre-sell over 100 general admission tickets way before the day of the show. And it's because my street team believed in the product and pushed it. Absolutely. Our talent believed in it and pushed it. You see a lot of guys who are booked on a show, and they'll tell their fans the day before the show or the day of the show.
Right, yeah.
My guys were pushing it for the entire month. They were giving us promos. They were selling tickets themselves. They were pushing posters. Everything that you want, a strong addition to your team, they were doing it. And I commend them every step of the way. They were an amazing group of guys.
No, absolutely.
And unfortunately, we closed shop in 2016. Well, technically 2015. We had an event scheduled for 2016 that actually did get canceled. We had venue issues, and we unfortunately had to cancel the event. And every month after that point, I had fans hitting me up. When's the next one? When's the next one? When's the next one? I had no answer because, you know, we were at the National Guard Armory, and due to different stipulations, we were no longer allowed to be able to be in there. And, you know, we looked for different venues and whatnot, but we couldn't find anything in Bloomington that would afford us the ability to run and make a profit. And as much as I love professional wrestling, I don't just throw a party for my friends and just spend every dollar that I make on the event and then walk away empty-handed. That was never my goal. So unfortunately, we did close shop. Earlier this year, we were contacted by the Lafayette Theater in Lafayette, Indiana, about bringing our product to Lafayette. And I want to give a shout out to Brett Havoc. He actually helped to get us in that position. He was in contact with the management, and he really took the initiative to get us in front of their eyes. Without Brett's effort, we wouldn't be coming back to life, in which we are coming back to life. We have an event coming up March 9th, 2018 at the Lafayette Theater, which we're entitling it Rebirth, because it is the new iteration of Infinity Pro, as it were. And we have got the opportunity to bring an entirely different style of professional wrestling to the Lafayette area. They have had a lot of wrestling there, but none of it has been the type of event that we throw. There's been a lot of old school wrestling there. There's been a lot of mixing of okay talent, some with a smattering of good talent. We're going to be bringing A+ down across the board. Every guy who's going to be on this card is a guy that in any other companies would be a headliner across the board. We're talking guys like we got Scotty Young on the card, we got Mance Warner on the card, Brett Havoc, Ace Perry, Dale Patricks, Trip Cassidy, Shane Mercer. We've got Jonathan Wolf is coming in for us. This is his first time working with Infinity Pro. We've got Sage Kanan, the Cajun Kid, an amazing young talent. I don't know if you know anything about him or not. Go look him up. He's a wonderful guy. We've got Sage Phillips coming back in. He was trained in Lafayette, Indiana, so he's coming back to his stomping grounds a little bit. We've got all these guys, and they're young, they're hungry, and they want to make a difference in the product. They want to show Lafayette, Indiana, true professional wrestling.
Absolutely. It's funny. You started naming off names, and I think I've literally talked to like 90% of those guys. I can vouch. I've talked to these people. I've seen them go, and obviously, just maybe a subtle humble brag, but they are incredible talents.
Absolutely, they are.
Mance, Shane. All those guys, Trip, you said Sage, all of those guys, all of them, like you said, A+ talents. Easily
Absolutely.
A+ talents.
Yep. Yeah, we're bringing Adam Bueller in. Jason Saint will be next to Shane Mercer. We've got Josh Rainey coming back in. All these guys who had definitive in the past. They're coming back in with a vengeance. Another gentleman who ran quite a bit in Lafayette, who's just amazing. He's one of the most vocal wrestlers I've ever met in my life. Is Jeremy Hadley. And that guy, he's a fantastic talent. I actually had the privilege of saying that myself and Johnny, we had him and his tag partner in their very second match ever in their careers. So we've had a chance to see him evolve. And the guy he is now was when he started off. It's amazing to see the difference. Kenneth James is coming back in. He was part of Infinity Pro at the very beginning, and he's done a lot of things. He's improved remarkably well, and he's a villain these days. He's a great talent. And we're also bringing in Calvin Tankman, which I've never had the privilege of working with before. He is a very strong individual. His skills speak for itself. He's done a lot of good stuff down at IWA Mid-South. He's doing stuff at WCWO. And he's starting to travel quite a bit. And last but not least on the card, we've got Sean Kim coming in. He's another young gentleman who's he has evolved himself from now. And he has the potential to have a breakout moments in Infinity Pro. When you look at our card, right, it's going to bring something for everyone.
That's
what I want to do.
That show, wow. All I can say is wow, because again, I've talked to a lot of those people. So, before I get too much into how, awestruck I am right now, tell us how we can get a ticket to this show. Where can we go, and do you have a date for it yet?
Yeah, the date is March 9th, 2018. It is at the Lafayette Theater at 600 Main Street in Lafayette, Indiana. Tickets are available online right now. The ringside tickets, which are basically the floor tickets, they are $15. The general admission tickets are $12, or you can buy a 4-pack for $40. And those, like I said, are available online. If you go to infinityprowrestling.com, you'll see a little shop mark on there, and you can click that, and that'll take you to our ticket vendor.
Wow. I mean,
time, all those tickets are going to be held at the box office.
Okay. So, I mean, guys, I mean, seriously, let me just put it this way. For people who are listening, you've heard, I would say, easily 3/4 of the people he just named on our show. You know their talent. You know what they can do. I mean, that should be enough as it is. So, I mean, go buy tickets. You know where to go. That's all I can say. Make your way to Lafayette. I mean, first of all, Lafayette's a wonderful place, first of all. Second of all, I think I've been to Lafayette Theater before for other things. It's a fantastic venue. And third of all, it's a fantastic card. And like he said, this is the rebirth of Infinity Pro. So, I mean, this is just the beginning. I mean, not to kind of pull away from this, but I mean, Infinity Pro, it's like you said, it's reborn. What are your goals moving forward? I mean, are you planning to do? I mean, obviously, I would hope so, but are you planning to do more shows in 2018 moving forward?
Yes, absolutely. We actually already have several dates booked with the theater. We have to confirm exactly. They gave us a list of like 30 dates we could pick from for the year. In fact, we were actually originally supposed to run our first event on March 11th, but they decided that they wanted us to come in on a Friday night and really have the opportunity to show Lafayette what we could do. They're really behind us, and they're really hoping to bring the true professional wrestling product to Lafayette, Indiana. And having them behind us, having this amazing venue, the talent who's all excited, we're looking to do a lot of big things. Anyone who's actually followed my product, they know we do a few things differently. We have a grand champion. We have a duos champion, which is what we call our tag team. Our duos is different because it's last man standing. So it's not traditional tag team wrestling. It's not the first fall that wins it. It's the last man standing wins. Well, technically last team standing. That's elimination style.
Yeah.
And then we have our Aero division, which is kind of our cruiserweight division, if you want to call it that. But the guys aren't really cruiserweights. There are a lot of multi-man matches in that, and the champion defends every show. And right now, because we've been gone for so long, we went ahead and vacated our straps. So right now we have no champions. We have a lot of former champions who are on board, and they're chopping at the bit to get a chance to reclaim those belts. And we are looking to run tournaments there in order to crown our new champions. So be on the lookout for those. Tournaments are some of my favorite things to host. I love them.
Absolutely. And tournaments, I'm obviously, they're a favorite of mine as well. Tournaments, I mean, they bring the best out in everybody, and people really work hard because most of the time they're doing multiple matches a show. So I mean, they're really giving it their all. I mean, tournaments really bring out the best in a lot of people.
Yes, they do. And we've held a lot of really good ones. In fact, you can catch several of our events. They're still up for sale currently on SmartWork Video. If you go there and search for Infinity Pro Wrestling, you'll find all of our previous shows from our last run, starting with our Do or Die event and ending with our season premiere event. So, in which we had Sabu on. So.
Right on.
A lot of good content there.
No, absolutely. So, real quick, I mean, because there's a lot of information to take in. So, like I said, everybody, you know where to go to get tickets. But one other thing I want to ask you is there any social medias, both for yourself but also for Infinity Pro, like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff, that people can not only follow your product but also follow you?
Right now, the only thing that we have, we're currently using our Facebook page. So, traditional, it's Facebook and search for Infinity Pro Professional Wrestling. You'll see us pop up in there. Yeah. Myself, I'm actually helping with a site called the Professional Wrestling Promoter. It's a website or Facebook page currently in which we're trying to do the exact opposite of trash bag wrestlers. We're trying to build people. We're not trying to tear them apart. We're trying to help the younger talent see what they're doing right, see what they're doing wrong, get critiqued by a group of true professionals. And that site, we just launched it. We've had a few people utilize it, and every single person has been very thankful for the information they received. All the guys that we have right now, we're currently throwing up different profiles and whatnot. But I will say that for anyone in the business who knows Rudy Boy Gonzalez, he is part of the product as well. So he is going to be chiming in and helping to teach some of these guys who may have been pushed through training or didn't really go through training, who just kind of jumped into wrestling and don't really know what they're doing wrong or what they can do to elevate their position in the professional wrestling world. That's kind of our product that we're pushing right now. For myself, Facebook.com/Donnie Tsunami. That's my personal page. Feel free to follow me on there, add me, whatever. If you have any questions about it, hit me up. I'd be more than happy to speak with you about it.
Absolutely. So you guys have it all. You know where to buy tickets. You know where this next, I don't even know if I can call it a wrestling show. I would call it just an event. I mean, this is a monument. I mean, it's going to be amazing. So you guys know where to get tickets to that. You know where to follow the product. You know where to follow Donnie. I mean, you know where to follow everything. So, Donnie, I mean, I really want to thank you for coming on here, telling us all this information, not only about, your wrestling life, but about being a promoter. And you're very passionate about being a promoter. So we have a lot of good material for that. And thank you for pitching your show, because most certainly I'm going to try and make it. So me and Dave are going to have to try and make it up there, because that sounds incredible.
Whatever happened to you?
And we're back with Whatever Happened To, the segment where we catch up on some often overlooked names from Midwest Wrestling's past. And I am Mike Isaacs, and today we're chatting with Lightning Rod, or you may know him as Hot Stuff, Rod Bell. How are we doing today?
Doing fantastic. How about you, Ike?
Oh, fantastic. Very glad to be doing this. Very happy to be here. And I didn't know you went by Hot Stuff Rod Bell. Funny fact, before we started recording this, we were talking, and he was like, yeah, it was also known as this. And I was like, I kind of like that better.
Yeah, back in the day when I started working for WWF and then WWE, Vince changed the name to Rod Bell. And then when I went into AWF, Terry Taylor was doing the booking back then, and he decided that Lightning Rod was a little too gimmicky to go with, so that's where we changed it to Hot Stuff Rod Bell. So kind of a change there, a little story behind it, though.
No, absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and jump right into it. I'm sure we'll circle back to that. I couldn't imagine we won't. But let's go ahead and, let's start it off with, let's start from the beginning. Tell us how you got into wrestling.
Okay, well, I was a two-sport college athlete in Fort Wayne St. Francis University, and I loved wrestling after I played basketball and baseball, and after every single Friday night high school game, we would watch Saturday night's main event, and with my brothers, Scott, Greg, and Max, and I told them, I says, man, I want to be a wrestler. When I stopped playing sports and at college and stuff, well, I met the Wild Polynesian Man, who was doing the major circuit then and program with Dick the Bruiser, and we were working out together for a lot of times, and he says, hey, why don't you get into wrestling? Because I was bugging him right and left, and so I started following him around, and he started showing me some things, and we started training, and then we went down to Indy and met Dick the Bruiser and Quicksilver and Diamond Dan and all those guys, and just started getting more and more into the business, and it just took off from there.
Absolutely. And that's what they say. Simple beginnings make very, very, very fun lives.
Exactly. And you got to have the passion behind it.
Oh yeah.
And that was just the fun of it. I was, lucky enough to wrestle for about 15 years and really enjoyed it, meeting a lot of great people along the way, and a lot of fun, and still keep in touch with some of the boys, and it was definitely a blessing for me.
No, absolutely. And I mean, 15 years is that's a long time. I mean, we just touched on it a little bit. You worked, we mentioned the WWE, WWF, and then another promotion. I believe you said it was AWF, right?
Yeah, AWF started up there and did some great. They had the best television, better than TBS. Actually, TBS directors and stuff like that at one point. Them, and then we traveled around Michigan, Indiana, Midwest, Minnesota, Wisconsin, with Rockin' Randy in Illinois, and Eric Freedom in Michigan, and down West Virginia. I mean, we traveled all over Michigan. We went up into Canada and wrestled. It was great way.
Obviously, that's 15 years, and that's 2 promotions. Where else did you work at? Another.
Boy, there was just so many. Indianapolis.
Definitely, within 15 years, I imagine there's probably quite a few promotions. I would. But with that, I mean, what are some of your fondest memories of being in the business? I would imagine you probably have a few.
Yeah, throughout the years, I'd have to give a shout out first to the trainer, Jesse Tittle, from Richmond, Indiana. He's one of the best trainers in the world, because your body takes a beating throughout there. And most of the time, I was wrestling at least 3 times a week, sometimes even 4. Body just takes a beating. But a couple funny stories. I don't know if you remember the Lex Express back in the day, when Lex Luger came to the WWF and was doing the tour and stuff. Remember those days?
It's weird. I know what you're talking about, but I'm a little younger because I grew up during the Attitude Era, so this happened before my time. Yeah, I'm a '90s kid, so.
Okay, well, I'll fast forward the Lex. Well, the one story about the Lex Luger, me and 123 Kid at the time, and a couple other guys. Well, they were given the meal. Lex Luger had to have a specific diet. And so he had the Lex Express, and they delivered up there the food to him and stuff. And so me and Sean Waltman and a couple of other guys, we said, yeah, we'll go take the food for him and stuff. So we ended up stealing Lex Luger's dinner that night. Boy, was he pissed about that. But that was one of the fun nights. And another great night was we were in Canada, and it was the first time I met Rhino and Christian and those guys, and we wrestled them back-to-back dates in Toronto, and there's a couple other cities up there. But, man, that was really fun wrestling them, because they were so fun to wrestle and to work with. And those guys just knew the business in and out, and they wanted to put on such a great show. And that was just really fun. And then another instance, the Hefner referee, he was always joking around in the back at WWF. And one night we was walking around, and he was carrying a fake, it was like a foam 25-pound dumbbell. And he would take that and act like he would trip and fall and throw it at like Razor Ramon and Bam Bam Bigelow and even Vader one time. And when he threw it at Vader slipped on some soda, or somebody dropped something. He slipped and fell. And, man, we took off. I'd never been so scared in my life. Vader wanted to kill somebody. But, Hefner was a funny guy. And even one time I forget where we were, but Owen Hart was such a jokester in the back. And we took Davey Boy Smith's stuff and put it outside the arena. And then he went out there after it, and we said, yeah, we'll hold the door for him. And we shut the door on him. Well, he had to come back in through the front in front of all the fans and everything. and it was on Monday Night Raw. And man, was Vince pissed. He was pissed at us, and they ended up blaming Owen for it. Man, that was one of the funniest things because Davey Boy was sitting there pounding on the door for I don't know how long. And then he didn't have his shirt on, so then he's coming, through the crowd back to the back, which was just funny and crap, So, yeah, that was another great time. And then one last quick story, and I'll get you back to the questions and stuff. But one time we was wrestling down in Indianapolis, had a great time down there. We had some great storylines down there with the James brothers, Diamond Dan, Bobo Jr., Madman Pondo, all those guys. It was just a great time. Good boys working together. Well, one night I was wrestling Billy Joe Eaton, and man, could he work. I mean, he was a great kid. And we got done, and we're going for the finish, and the referee screws up and doesn't count the 3 count. So we have to go on and finish it. Man, I'm just yelling, and, I'm just mad. Well, he rode back. He came from Chicago, too. So we were riding back. There was 4 of us total, and the referee was in the back. So we stopped at a gas station. I said, man, we need gas. And I said, here's $5. Go tell the cashier. So he went in there. I left him. I left him in Indianapolis because he missed that the final. And that's how serious I kept it. I held it during the day because, I really loved the business. It was fun. It was a good passion for me. And the people around me had a passion for it. And it was just a great time. And you just don't mess up the finish.
You're like mess up any other part but the finish.
That's right. That's right. You got one job. Count to 3. Oh.
You have one job. That's right. So I mean,
that's right.
And that's hilarious because I feel like there's not enough jokesters in the world these days. I feel like a lot of people take things too seriously. So I very much appreciate those stories. Those are hilarious. But so then I gotta ask. I mean, being in the business for 15 years, you obviously got out of it. Well, you never really get out of it, I would say. You're always a wrestler at heart, or a wrestling fan at heart. But what do you miss about wrestling? What do you miss about those times?
It was just a great adrenaline rush that you were putting on a wrestling show for, anywhere from 100 to 25,000 people. And the adrenaline rush is just huge. And seeing kids, love you or hate you, depending on if you were a heel or a baby, it was just, it was so fun. And, that was just a great thrill for me. And, I think that's the thing that I miss the most out of it, was just the fans, because the fans are just awesome with wrestling. And it was even better back in the earlier years when they hated a heel. They wanted to kill, spit on them, throw stuff at them, whatever. And those are the good old days, and now I think looking at wrestling, watching wrestling and stuff, they just rush the storylines, and so you don't really get through to see, who was the major heel, who's the bad guy, who's the good guy, and you don't really tell the story. I remember Barry Dorso of Demolition, he told me it's like a movie in that match. And, you got the highs and the lows and everything else, but, the good guy always ends up losing, or the good guy always up winning. And, we just don't have the programs that we used to have that just really, made fans, talk about it, at the water cooler every night and or during the job and stuff like that anymore.
Absolutely. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, that actually kind of makes me want to jump into another question that I feel like is always important.
Okay.
You talk a little bit about how the comparison is between then and now. I'm not sure. I'm sure you probably keep up with the wrestling these days. But being a part of wrestling, what do you think the best and worst part about being a part of wrestling is?
Well, nowadays, you look at the athletes. I mean, there's some great athletes in there.
Absolutely.
That can just do some phenomenal things. And but I think what we're missing is they're rushing to tell the story a lot of times, and that's what if you listen to Jim Cornette and some of those other old school guys, I'm probably not to that extent, but I really miss the storylines behind that, and to get that personal connection with the fans, and excuse me, and I think that's what's missing in wrestling right now is that personal connection. And you can see that in some of the indies right now. They do have that personal connection to them, but we don't just have that major, sold out show every single time that, man, we got to go see that heel lose or that baby face win, and things like that. We just kind of miss that in the wrestling, in my opinion.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's 100% true. I can't remember who it was I was talking to. It was a guy, he wrestled years and years ago. I remember he told a story, and I'm really having a hard time remembering. He told a story that he had a guy that straight up the guy was a cop, and the guy didn't know that wrestling was fake or not. Let me reword that. It's not fake. It's scripted. I hate when people say that, but it feels automatic. But he didn't know that wrestling it was all scripted. He didn't know that this guy wasn't really like an evil person. And this guy says that the cop pulled a gun on him and straight up put it to his head and was like, if you don't leave right now, I'm gonna kill you, son. Something like that. I mean, like, obviously,
wow, yeah.
Obviously, I don't want it to go back to that, but I wish there was still some kind of that illusion, if you will.
Exactly.
To kind of kind of cut the curtain a little bit. It's like, yeah, we know that they're not actually in there killing each other, but we want to live in the world of there is an illusion to this. But like you said, I feel like there's nothing like that anymore.
Exactly. And the kids would go to school and they were talking about it, and they're talking about the water cooler at work, and I mean, that was some great times and some great storylines, and they couldn't wait for that next wrestling show, and now it's kind of watered down, I think, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and I could go on for that forever. Like I said, I grew up in the Attitude Era, and I definitely feel like, because when I do this show, I hear so many stories and I hear all these fantastic things about the old days, and I'm like, I need to see that wrestling again. But
yeah,
you won't ever see that again, I don't think, just because of the way wrestling has evolved. I feel like that's a thing in the past now.
Exactly. You're right on.
But other than that, because like I said, I could go on forever about that. But what are you up to currently? I mean, obviously, that was you wrestled for 15 years. You eventually got out. But what are you doing now? What is Lightning Rod, or what is Rod doing these days?
Well, I'll tell you. Let me back up 1 second. A lesson that I learned. It was about my third or fourth year. I was in the locker room with Jimmy Valiant and Nikolai Volkov and Honky Tonk and a couple other guys, and there was a couple green kids in there, and they were talking about, I want this title, and I want to go to this and that, and I want to win this belt, and all this other stuff. And Jimmy Valiant stood up and he said, boys, you guys are missing everything. You're missing that you're out here telling a story to these kids and families, and at the end of the day, you can have every single belt you want, but it's the money you got in your pocket when you leave at the end. And that kind of put perspective to everything that, you needed. And he also said your health. And if you don't have your health and if you don't have your money, I mean, you don't have anything. And a lot of these green kids, I want to be a champion. I want to be this, that, the other, but they miss the storyline behind it, and they miss, their health in the long run, and what they're saving and stuff from that. So that's just a little tidbit from Jimmy Valiant. But anyway, Nowadays, well, I work for Wendy's. I cover 7 states for the Wendy's International, and I do a lot of training for franchisees and develop managers. New product. Let me throw another plug out to Wendy's, who's got a new mushroom bacon cheeseburger and mushroom potato that is just phenomenal. You got to try it. I'm telling you, you'll put some meat on your bones there. But I'll say it's a great sandwich. But
I think I got enough meat on my bones.
But yeah, I do a lot of training, teaching others to teach and developing managers and that's something that's really rewarding to me. Back in wrestling is teaching other kids to wrestle and teaching them the business, and now teaching other managers and franchisees to be more successful and how they run their business and how managers can be more successful too, running their restaurants and stuff. So that's something I've really enjoyed. And during that time, also I was coaching basketball, AAU. And you're from Indy, right, Ike?
I'm
from Indy.
I live in Muncie, so pretty close.
Oh, you're in Muncie. Okay. All right. Well, along the way, I coached my son basketball, and because that was my first love back in the day, and that's what I played at St. Francis University. And he was fortunate enough to get a full scholarship at Indiana University East, and they went to the Final Four. And so it was nice to coach him in AAU and then high school. And also one of the Indiana Pacers, Glenn Robinson, I coached him in AAU. So that was really rewarding to see him play now with the Pacers and stuff. So that's been a great journey. And now with Wendy's, it's been a great journey for almost 19 years now. So I've been very blessed along the way and got 2 great kids and just enjoying life,
No, absolutely. And I don't mean this in a mocking way, but Wendy's is probably my favorite hamburger restaurant. Don't get me wrong, the other places are good, but Wendy's is where you can go to get some actual good food. I sincerely, I think that it's a little more expensive, but you get what you pay for.
Fresh, never frozen, right?
Right, yeah, that's right. I remember.
I mean, we chop the lettuce every day for the salads, and the beef comes in fresh, and so yeah, Wendy's is definitely the way to go, and then I help my other brother. He's got they're milking 1,200 cows in Argus, Indiana, by Plymouth, and they've had multiple champion cows, and so I help out at the farm there, and so that keeps up my strength and working out there. And then I'm working out with my son too, and having a great time working out with him in the gym and stuff, and keeping in shape. And so it's been a great journey. I've been very blessed.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's.
I'll tell you what though, I got a great story that I gotta tell you, because it was one of the most scariest times I've ever had as a wrestler. We were in Indianapolis, and I forget the venue, but they had New Jack and Madman Pondo. I mean, Madman Pondo had done so much throughout the Midwest and even over Japan and every place else. I mean, that guy could take a beating and still walk away. But New Jack took a wooden guitar, the hardwood, not the gimmicky honky-tonk ones, and hit Pondo over the top of the head. I'll tell you, I thought he was dead. I really did. That was the hardest I've ever seen a kid get hit. And then, another night that was kind of nerve-wracking was Sid, when he got to WWF, and, they were trying to push him and stuff. And sometimes he was a little unstable. And we were in the back working out, and Sid wanted to do a program with me, and but he couldn't pick me up. His upper body strength, I don't know if his shoulders were sore or what, but he couldn't pick me up properly. So I got dissed, and they had Rockin' Randy come in. Well, he threw Rockin' Randy outside. I think this was in Wisconsin, and they threw him out, and Sid popped out there, and he picked him up on a shoulder slam and dumped him on the metal barricades there. And man, I thought it punctured his lung, but he had a couple broken ribs from that. And, that was a little bit scary, but other than that, I've been very fortunate myself.
No, absolutely. And, you know, the bad thing is that very few people can say that, and I'm very glad. But very few people can say that they made it out of the business in one piece. Side note, I don't know, this is obviously super random, but have you ever seen the video of Sid Vicious when he comes off the top rope and he breaks his leg? Have you ever seen that?
Oh, that was brutal.
It was absolutely brutal. I just remember you told that story, and that's the one thing I've always remembered about Sid Vicious, the time that he tried that. But anyways,
he never tried it again.
Yeah, that is absolutely right. He never tried that again. But so, you know, as we kind of wind down, I mean, is there, you know, in the wild world of the internet, is there any way fans can follow you on social media if they wanted to? Obviously, I know that you may not, but if you do, you can pitch it.
Well, you know, wrestling wise, I really don't do much with the business anymore, but I am on Facebook. You can definitely get on my Facebook. It's under Bullenbacher is actually my last name, Bollenbacher, and Rod, of course. But yeah, go ahead and look me up on Facebook, and if you wanted to chat or something, definitely have time for the fans. I mean, you guys, you know, took care of me during the years and paid my paycheck and things like that. So absolutely, anybody want to talk about, you know, the old times or even the new times, you know, their thoughts on that, feel free to contact me.
Absolutely. Well, you guys heard it here. You heard the stories. You heard where they've been, and now you know. Lightning Ron betraying those people at Wendy's to make them good burgers, and that is what matters. Hey, I want to thank you.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on here, talking to me, joking around with me, getting those stories out there. You know, I love it. But thank you so much for taking, letting us talk to you today. We appreciate it so much. It's been a pleasure.
I do want to give you one more shout out to Jimmy Blaze and his. In north of Chicago. I am going to do a show in north of Chicago. I think it's Round Lake or Fox Lake, one of those two, in April. So if you guys get out that chance, you're out there north of Chicago or Wisconsin area, make sure you come and see Jimmy Blaze and his POWW wrestling organization. They got a great group of team there and some great wrestlers. So check it out.
Hey, there you go. You got all the pitches, you got all the shout outs, and if you guys know where to go find him, so you can go find him on Facebook too. So go look him up. Yeah, go look up his work. But again, thank you, Rod, for coming on here talking to us. It's been an honor and a pleasure.
You've heard him here on the Dave Dynasty Show as a guest and as host of the monthly Graham's Gallery episodes. And now you can hear his stories. You can own a copy of Confessions of a Big-Time Wrestler, the audio book from Dr. Jerry Graham Jr., former multi-tag team champion in WWA and owner of Bruiser Bedlam. You can hear all of his encounters with the various wrestlers, places, and promotions he's worked as he tells about his colorful, long, and illustrious career. You can have your own copy for only $25, and that includes shipping and handling. It's very simple. Go on Facebook, look up Jerry Jaffe, Jaffe, send him a private message, and make arrangements to purchase a copy of Confessions of a Big-Time Wrestler now. You will not regret this purchase. And there you have it. Oh, another episode of the Dave Dynasty Show coming to a close. Big thank you to referee Manbun Sean O'Brien. Thank you to Donnie Tsunami, and thank you to Lightning Rod, as well as my cohort and colleague Ike Isaacs for helping out with those interviews. We hope you dug the show today. We hope you enjoyed the classic audio from Paul Christy and all the interviews and bits we did today. again, trying to bring attention to Midwest professional wrestling. That's our goal. That's our mission. Thank you for helping us with that. Thank you for being a part of the Midwest Express, the movement designed to push Midwest wrestling to the forefront. And let's keep fighting you, man. Let's keep up the good fight. Keep rolling with it. And part of that is getting out there to local shows and supporting these guys, these companies, these wrestlers, buy shirts, share the stuff online, whether it be our stuff here at the Dave Dynasty Show, or posts and things from the companies, from the wrestlers. Make sure you're sharing that stuff. Make sure you're liking it. Make sure you're showing your love and your support. It's all about networking, right? That's in this day and age. That's what it's about. That's how you bring the attention. That's how you grow the brands. That's how you build the legacies. It's through networking now. So the more people that get on board and the more people that share, and it just spider webs out, right? And it gets bigger and bigger and broader and broader. And eventually people start taking notice. And that's what we're trying to do. Help us out with that. And if you want to help us in any other way, you can go to davedynasty.com and support us there. You can make an ongoing monthly contribution through Patreon or a one-time contribution through PayPal Me. Both of those our names are The Dave Dynasty. And both of those are very, very appreciated. Those help keep the show free that we give to you, 4 times a month or more. And it's all free, right? And that's how we do it. The production costs, the equipment costs, things that come up, that's all supported by you guys. So we do appreciate those contributions. If you'd like to give a little something and get something in return, then visit our Pro Wrestling T-shirt store. I think we have 3 shirts up there right now, including the Midwest Express shirt. Buy a shirt, right? Then you're helping us, supporting us, plus you get a shirt. And then also, while you're out there, another way that you can support us is as you're doing your routine shopping, either at Amazon.com or highspots.com, with stuff that you would buy anyway. Then just go to DaveDynasty.com, click on those affiliate links, and then do your shopping. There's no additional charge to you, but we get a little kickback, and again, it helps the show. So you're out there, you'll be doing your part to support us and supporting Midwest wrestling, right? Along with the networking, along with the sharing. If you're supporting our show, we are trying to get the eyes and ears on it. And so there, you're supporting the scene that way. And we appreciate that. And you can also visit DaveDynasty.com to find links to all of our social medias, all of the past episodes of the podcast, etc., etc. So make sure that's the central hub, DaveDynasty.com. You can also go to that site, and at the bottom, we've got, 12, 15 links. You'll see the logos at the bottom of the main page, for Midwest professional wrestling promotions that you should be checking out. These are the ones, our favorite, the show favorites, the ones we like and that we support. Many of them we work a lot with. We have great relationships with them. So go there. You can click the links. You can go to either their websites or their Facebook pages, because DaveDynasty.com, we want that to be your central hub for Midwest professional wrestling. So go there, bookmark it, make it your homepage, whatever it is, visit it often so that you too can be a kingpin in the Midwest Express and help change and grow the movement. So that's it. That's it for today. We will be back tomorrow with another episode. Double shot. Make sure you share them. Make sure you listen to them. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. Give us feedback and comment. What would you like to hear? Who would you like to hear on the show? Everything, etc., etc., etc. Well, before we go, really quick, you may have noticed no Mance Warner today. Don't panic. Mance is still a key part of the Midwest Express and a key part of the Dave Dynasty Show. But Mance has been hella busy lately and gone to 2 hellacious wars, IWA Mid-South, with Michael Elgin, hitting the road, going all over the country to perform. So it's just his busy schedule right now, and his obligations as IWA Mid-South champion. He didn't, we told him, hey, that's cool. Do your thing, man. So don't panic. He is part of the show. Just no wisdom from him this week. So, but until next week, until tomorrow, I am Dave Dynasty. This is the Dave Dynasty Show. Thank you so much for your support. And as always, in everything you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.